Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I'm here with Melanie Nupp. She is a functional nutritionist, and I met her in the live video challenge, and she actually does great videos all the time. They're so fun. My favorite video, I think, was about poop. So I actually started as a health coach, so not afraid to talk about that stuff. And most of my clients are health coaches or have been, so it's a topic that we all talk about. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this will be fun. So how about this? When someone at a party asks you what you do, what do you say?
It's a funny question. I don't tend to stay up too late, so I don't go to too many parties these days with the toddler, but I know what you're asking. So when someone asks what I do, I think the easiest way to explain it is just to say that I say I'm a nutritionist, but I think people have some preconceived misconceptions about that. So I like to just say that I work with people who have chronic conditions and help them feel better by working on diet and supplements and lifestyle changes and supporting how their body works to help them feel better.
Yeah, that's awesome. So who's your ideal client?
I would say my ideal client is really, it's not a specific diagnosis or a specific condition. It's just somebody who is looking for a way to support their own health and trying to figure out what they can do in their daily life to help themselves feel better. So I have a range of clients with all different conditions. Some have diagnoses and some don't. Some just have chronic symptoms that are just getting in the way of them living their lives. So I work with all types of people who are just trying to figure out what they can do on a daily basis to help themselves feel better.
Yeah, that's great. So it's not someone with a doctor's note or a diagnosis, but they come to you because they're tired of feeling like crap all the time and something's wrong. What is it and how can we fix it?
Exactly. I do have clients who don't know what's wrong. Like their doctors don't know what's wrong. They've been to several specialists and they just can't get a real diagnosis, but we've been able to make some progress just by changing diet, by working on supplements, and it's definitely frustrating to not have that one answer of this is my label, because I think sometimes people feel more comfortable being able to understand what's going on if they have a diagnosis. But even if without that, there's things you can do to feel better just by changing how you eat, depending on what your symptoms are.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to suggest to people to start feeling better?
That's a hard question. Well, I did a talk recently where I kind of talked about the basic things that everybody can do. I definitely individualize all my recommendations. So, I have people, eating one way and other people eating another way. So it's not always the same, but I would say the few things that I would say are non-negotiables for me are, first of all, not eating any artificial foods, so not eating any trans fats or artificial sweeteners. A lot of my clients come to me and not eating those things, but if they are, that's kind of ground zero for me. And beyond that, we work on eliminating refined foods in general. So eliminating sugar is a really big one, and a lot of people are really attached to it, but it's pretty phenomenal. Yeah. It's pretty cool to see what can really resolve for people when they're willing to take the step of giving it up even for a little while. So there's definitely things that I see that impede people's healing. And I think, a lot of people, there's so much health information out there these days, and people are really excited about supplements and crazy diagnoses and kind of going down all these rabbit holes. And we can do all those things, but if you're doing something every day that's actually causing your body more inflammation or impeding your body's ability to heal, that's just going to get in the way and you're never going to make progress. So my dad actually recently emailed me what do you think of these supplements? And I'm like, well, that's probably going to be helpful, but if you're still doing X, Y, Z, it's not going to be the answer. So that's where we start, is just seeing, is there anything you're doing that's actually impeding your body's ability to heal? And we have to remove those things before we can move forward.
Yeah, exactly. So I do always confess that I'm hooked on sugar, but I eat a tenth of the sugar that most people do. My sugar is in the half a cup of dark chocolate almond milk that I have,
Yeah.
So little, but I think having that awareness probably helps your clients a lot. Just
Yeah.
knowing where to start.
Exactly. And I'm not like, I mean, there are certain clients I have who do have, serious diagnoses and we really need to be more strict, but, it's not going to work if you tell someone to jump all the way in and they're not ready to do that. So it's definitely like a continuum. We have to take steps. So there's, of course, the ideal thing that I'm talking about. Ideally everybody would be off sugar, but sometimes you have to take steps to get there, and that's what I help people do. It's not always all or nothing. It's kind of like, what can we do to take a step towards that? Even if it's like swapping certain sweets for healthier sweets. And I have a client I'm doing that with right now. She was like, I can't commit to 100% getting rid of sugar. So we said, well, what if you leave all your sugar the way it is and start trying these other healthier options, and maybe you'll find something else you like that we could eventually swap towards. But it's a slow process for some people, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's really compassionate of you, though, to really understand that, like, sugar makes me happy. So, like, you only live once. I'm going to eat it.
Right, exactly.
But I have chronic condition, so it's different.
Right. So it's a cost benefit. And of course, like, people usually are doing something like eating sugar or whatever else it is for a reason, and it's giving them some benefit. And then we just have to see, well, is it also costing you? And, where's the line there? And maybe the cost is higher than the benefit. And so it is individual, like you're saying, like maybe for you, those costs aren't high and you're in a good place with your body and you don't need to make that step. So it just really depends where somebody is.
Yeah. Huh. I love your approach to this. It's really just so balanced and compassionate. Like I said, like you're really meeting people where they are, and that's awesome. That's exactly what we need more of.
Yeah, I try to do that. I feel like, I personally have been on the search for, practitioners to work with to help me solve some of my chronic, issues. And that's what I try to do. It's just to be red wine is my sugar, someone says. Just to be really, understanding of where people are starting from and where they're coming from, and just kind of help them take steps in their journey. So yeah, I hope I'm doing that.
Yeah, that's great. What's your favorite way to market your business?
That's a good question. I know you said at the beginning, we met doing our video challenge, and that has been pretty amazing because I really have grown my practice pretty significantly ever since I did the video challenge, which was only like 6 or maybe more, 6 or 8 months ago now. But I think I work virtually, so I'm on the phone with people and I don't see people in person. I think having video as a way to connect with people and have them get to know me and be able to talk about these things, that are going through my mind helps people understand my approach and really get to know my work. And so that's been pretty cool over the past few months.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that. That motivates me to be more consistent because you're really good at being consistent with video.
Yeah, that was like not really a New Year's resolution so much as like something I just decided at the beginning of the year that I wasn't being very consistent with things like newsletters and social media. And so that's really been my challenge for this year. And so I think I'm doing pretty well. I've had to scale back on my videos just because of my client load. But I am doing, videos consistently, newsletters, Facebook posts, and trying to just make sure that I'm always putting myself out there so that, people can continue to connect with me. Yeah.
What's the mindset shift that you had to make in order to commit to doing video and stuff like that consistently?
Actually, it was through the video challenge and the prompts that we were given and just talking to people every day on video and being asked questions about my business like you're doing, that I was able to just start speaking about it more. And the more I talked about it, the more clarity I got around my messaging. And so I think just, it's not just about connecting with people. It's also about, from my perspective, having the opportunity to express myself. And I think just, I used to be worried about, well, what would I say? But the more you say things, the more things that pop into your head and the more clear you get about things. So it was just like a shift in thinking, always thinking about it before doing it. But once I started doing it and got really into it, it just kind of came naturally.
I love that. That's so great.
Yeah.
That it comes naturally. That's awesome. When do you feel like powerful and passionate and free and incredibly useful and excited and inspired? When do you feel all of that?
That's a hard question. You know, a lot of times it's like after a client session that, you know, I'm highly introverted. I really need alone time to be able to be energized and recharge. I'm with a toddler all day long. But then I get into like a client session, which can be, you know, it takes a lot of energy to be one-on-one with somebody for an hour, hour and a half. But a lot of times after a session, I feel really rejuvenated and excited and like really energized because, you know, the conversation, you know, was brought to light new things, or, you know, my mind just kind of works really fast when I'm talking with someone and I put connections together of what they're saying and like what might be going on for them. So that experience of just working with someone one-on-one is really exciting for me.
Yeah, I love that too. That's when I feel it too. Same thing. Totally introverted. I love my quiet time, but talking with clients and they do the things you say and they feel better or their business grows or whatever it is, like there's no better feeling, right?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes like it's even like a discovery. Like I had a client who was like, you know, trying to figure out what was causing her symptoms, and we narrowed it down to dairy. And she thought it was the fat, but the more we talked about it, I was like, I think it's one of the proteins. And just being able to like be investigative about things and just be really curious and figure things out is kind of fun, especially when you find the answer.
Yep. Yeah, dairy actually is my thing. I discovered that about 7 years ago. It causes migraines, so I haven't had dairy since then, and I've had maybe 5 migraines. So.
Wow, yeah, it's really amazing. It's hard to make those connections sometimes, but once you figure it out, it's so powerful.
Yeah, but that's that cost-benefit thing where it's like, oh my gosh, I love cheese. Everybody loves cheese. Right. But if you have like 3 migraines a week, you don't need to eat cheese anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely understand, you know, it's not always the same food for everybody. Somebody recently was asking me about going on an anti-inflammatory diet, and she's like, but these people say these foods are okay and other people say they're not. And I was like, well, that's because everybody's different. So something that's inflammatory for you might not be inflammatory for me. And even though there's like basic foods that might be inflammatory for everybody, it really does get individualized. And it can be tricky to just kind of read everything online and try to adopt what you read, because when you're reading everything online, they're not taking you into account. And I think that's where people get tripped up, is that you really have to combine what's going on in your body with all the dietary theories that are out there to really find what the match that works for you.
Yeah, that's so true. Awesome. So what's your big dream for your business? Like if anything was possible, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a really clear like end goal or anything like that. I do want to start branching out from one-on-one work and create, you know, maybe a course or something, because I realized, you know, after working with so many people one-on-one, that there are a lot of things that are kind of foundational. Even though it's individualized, there might be steps that I try to take with everybody, making sure blood sugar is balanced, making sure meal timing is working for somebody, and hydration. And there's just a lot of things that we can say are, you know, foundational to health, and then build from there. So I do kind of want to create something that I can put out there that would be accessible, you know, anytime for somebody to kind of start putting these things into motion. I think one thing that people get tripped up with as well is figuring out what to do first. You know, there's, like I said, so much information out there, but like, where do I start? What do I do first? So that's something I'm looking to create, is, you know, an expansion beyond one-on-one work eventually. So I'm not quite there yet, but that's that's definitely a goal.
Yeah, that's great. And to do that, to serve more people and help more people, I think is really, that's the best place to come from. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for me, I call myself a working stay-at-home mom. I have, you know, a 2-year-old, and eventually we want to have more kids. And right now she's home with me, like, you know, 90% of the time. And I do have babysitters that come in and work with her or play with her while I work. And then I see my clients on the weekends, but at some point you max out, you know, there's a limited number of clients I can see. So it's kind of like what you're saying. It's like, how can I create something that can be available to more people, since, you know, everybody's time is limited, but I feel like at this point in my life, it's limited even more.
Right. Yeah, exactly. My thing that you didn't ask, but the thing that I would put into there is to chew your food. People don't chew their food, and that's so crucial to digestion and everything that bothers people. It's like, you gotta chew your food.
Yeah, you're right. There's so many basics that, you know, people just kind of forget about the basics a lot of times, and it seems so simple, but even like drinking water, I've seen people's headaches go away, and I've seen people not be constipated anymore. And sometimes headaches and other things are more complicated, but sometimes it's really simple. So sometimes the simplest things that you don't want to spend time doing are the things that you actually really need to do to see if that's all it was.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I had one client who lost 4 or 5 pounds just by chewing her food. That's the only thing she changed.
Wow. That's phenomenal. I wonder if she was able to just slow down and, like, you know, pay attention to portion sizes. It does a lot more, you know, than what it sounds like, but yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I'm having this portion size mystery or whatever in my life because I moved like this week and the dishes are different. They're not my dishes, so I don't know how big, how much food I should eat.
Oh, that's fun.
Isn't that fun? The dish size. I'm used to eating, you know, my dish size.
Right.
They're all different here. Like, I'm starving all the time.
That's funny. Yeah, I think also, you know, people get a little bit, you know, they're not in tune with their bodies as much. I'm not saying that's necessarily you, but I see this with kids a lot too, is that, you know, people are always telling kids to finish their plate or you eat this first before you can have that. And that really bothers me because kids are so in tune with whether they're hungry or not and what they're hungry for. And I think we should just let them build on that and retain that for as long as they can and just trust that they know. Because, you know, once we get to adulthood, if that's kind of, we're always told not to listen to our body, basically, then we can't anymore. So then you have to rely on external cues to figure out how much to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have to give myself more food than what's on that dish.
Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of picking up on it though, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been like 2 days of like too hungry in the morning, so I'm learning quickly.
Yeah. Putting the pieces together, that's funny.
Yeah. So I ate like 4 times this morning. I'm like, this is weird. I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah, but you're so right about kids being intuitive about food. One thing that got me into health coaching actually was that this kid, he was 2 or 3, and he wanted guacamole, which is, you know, it's so fresh. It's avocados and tomatoes and whatever. Mm-hmm. And his parents wanted him to eat hot dogs. And I'm like, there's no world in which hot dogs are better than guacamole. Like, I don't care who you are. Let the kid eat the fresh vegetables.
Funny.
So,
yeah.
It was weird. But anyway, he knew what was fresh.
Yeah.
All right, my last question, because, you know, I like to talk about marketing and technology and stuff. So what online tool could you not live without?
I'm not that technical. So, I mean, I couldn't live without my email. Is that a tool?
Yep, that's definitely a tool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really use too many online tools. So I would say email and the videos, but yeah, I'm pretty basic. I think you can do a lot without getting crazy.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I thought maybe video for you or Facebook. Like, it'd be hard for me to not have Facebook. That's where all my relationships are. So
yeah, I don't really use Facebook socially. I have my newsfeed turned off, and I just I post on my business page, and I can go to people's pages obviously if I want to. But even for my business, I found that following other people in my industry was actually not helping me.
Yeah.
It kind of puts you in this position of not having space in your brain to have your own thoughts because you're just always listening to everybody else. So I have found that by following select, you know, leaders in the field, but not like everybody else, has really helped me kind of clear my own head to be able to put pieces together for myself and have my own voice, because just following along with so many other people is yeah, like I said, then you have everyone else's ideas in your head. So I think that applies in any industry you're in. It's just, you know, learn what you need to learn, but be really selective about who you follow, because you at some point want to be able to make your own way in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And that you recognize that and how it was affecting you. That's really smart. That's awesome.
It can be a time suck too, just to get so many newsletters and so many emails and follow so many people on Facebook. It just takes up, you know, time reading all of that. So you have to just be selective about what you want to pay attention to.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Well, those are all my questions. So is there anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I mean, I think you asked me lots of great questions. We had a lot of, you know, a lot to talk about. So yeah, I would just say, you know, if you are somebody who feels like you have something going on that you can't figure out, don't ignore nutrition, because I have a potential client who's gone to every specialist ever, but eats a whole ton of processed food. And not that you don't need the medical system and all the specialists, but you kind of need to do both. And figuring out what you can do to support your body can really help, you know, like I said, help you feel better. So don't ignore it. Also, don't get overwhelmed by it, and just take it one step at a time. If you feel like it's an area you need to focus on, just start somewhere and see where you can get. Yeah,
that's awesome. Good advice. Thank you so much for joining me. This was fun. You're right. We covered a lot in like 20 minutes, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I kind of talk fast, so no problem. But yeah, thanks for having me, and good luck with your transition to Portugal.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.